Welcome to Line by Line Slovakia, as we take a look at the Tatra Mountain mainline, east of Vrutky, to Poprad-Tatry. The route filmed lies in the northern half of the country, close to the Tatra Mountain range and the border with Poland. This strategically important mainline links Żelina in the west with Košice in the east, and it is the section between Torani and Poprad that we feature in this programme. Part 1 looks at the line at the western end of our chosen section, as we study trains at Torani and then at Královany. The date is the 1st of July 2018, and 193205, currently on H2 private passenger operator regiojet, passes, forming the 0745 Košice to Prague service. Regiojet currently operate 3 return services each day along this line between Prague and Košice. This is the main station buildings. According to Wikipedia, the town here was first mentioned in the year 1341, and a station was probably constructed for when the line opened on the 8th of December 1871. Back to the east side of town now, we see 363136 with 361103 on the rear, forming the 0946 from Liptovský Mikuláš to Želina. Typically, the line sees passenger services between Bratislava and Košice every hour, supplemented by extra intercity and Eurocity trains during the busier periods. Local trains run at hourly intervals over certain sections of the line. There is then the 3 regiojet services on top of this, so expect around 2 passenger services each way per hour. Slovak Railways, or ZSSK for short, leases at least 13 of these Vectron locomotives from S-Rail Leasing for use on their most important intercity services. This is 383104, which was delivered on the 25th of February 2018. We now move a few kilometres to the east and to the junction at the station at Královany. We chose two locations, the first slightly to the west of the station and the second in the station area itself. This scene was taken on the 16th of July 2017 and shows Class 350 electric number 019 heading east with the 1540 from Bratislava to Košice. Following along behind is 361107 on train number 15771, the 1455 from Bratislava to Umene. Slovakian Railways modified some of their Class 363 electrics by swapping bogies with Class 162, raising their top speed to 140 km per hour. 362008, seen here, is one of just 3 examples retaining their two-tone blue and white livery. The train is the Sundays only 1406 Umene to Bratislava. We now move to the station area and await the arrival of the 1053 from Žilina to Košice. Station shunter at this time was 740-430, the loco being used on trip freights on the branch up to Trestenia, which diverges here. Class 361, number 121, is brought to a halt by its driver as passengers are given the all clear to head towards the train. 361121 is a rebuilt Class 163. The locomotive, built by Škoda, originally dates from 1990 and is rated between 4,100 and 4,665 horsepower. They have a top speed of 160 km per hour and are used on long-distance intercity services between Prague and Košice and on trains from Bratislava. Class 811 units were rebuilds from Class 810, where mechanical transmission was replaced by electric. They also received new cabs. Out of 27 units, only 24 remain in traffic, and only 2 of these, numbers 8 and 9, remain in the original orange and white stripe livery, and this is number 8. The units are regulars on the branch up to Trestenia, often hauling up to 2 trailer vehicles such as the ones seen here. In the background can be seen the depot, which has a small allocation of units for use on the line up to Trestenia. Freight trains are common on this line, with most worked by the Class 131 single cab locos operating in back-to-back pairs with consecutive numbers. Here, train 49704, the 0615 from Tiana nad Tisau to Ostrava Bartovice, carrying iron ore, arrives with 131 100 and 099. There is one return Super City Pendolino express passenger service on the route each day. This is the 0710 from Prague, returning as the 1459 from Košice. This is unit number 681005. In the second part of this programme, we head east from Královany and onwards towards Sovošo, calling in at a number of locations along the way. The map shows the section of line covered. Our first location is south of Stankovany, then north and south of the station at Lebochnia, and then east at a close station not far from Sovošo. We begin around a kilometre south of the town of Stankovany, as Czech Railways 15221 heads local train 3416, the 1348 from Liptovský Mikuláš. With loco pool sharing, it isn't uncommon for Czech locos to work trains in Slovakia. The line follows the narrow valley of the river Var, the longest river in Slovakia. Here the river cuts through the foothills of the Carpathian mountain chain, of which the Tatra Mountains are a part. The hills here rise to between 750 and 1200 metres above sea level. Class 350 are a dual voltage version of Czech classes 150 and 151. Initially built for high-speed long-distance passenger trains, they are common on this line, working trains from Bratislava to Košice and between Prague and Budapest. This is 350-020, working train number 606, the 1007 from Umene to Bratislava. Regiojet 162113 is in charge of the 0748 from Prague to Košice. Replacement of these Class 162s in use by Regiojet is now underway, with 8 Trax Class 386 locomotives currently being delivered by Bombardier. The new Class 386 will also replace the 3 Vectron locomotives currently on hire from Locotrain. We now move to the station at Lebochnia, a simple wooden structure but full of character. This is the view from the other side. Incidentally, passengers are not allowed to cross onto the platforms until a service train is approaching. Freight and non-stop passenger services are held outside of the station if a stopping train means that passengers have to cross over in front of it on one of the main running lines. Heading east towards the station is double-loco 131, 073 and 074. Class 162s have diminished in number since many became Class 163 and 362 as a result of bogie swaps. This is 162004 on the Sundays only 1107 from Umene to Prague. Class 363s are mainly operated by ZSSK Cargo, with just 11 of the class allocated to passenger work. Of these, all are painted in red livery apart from number 136, which is seen here in blue with a yellow stripe. The train in question is number 3421 from Žilina to Poprad-Tatry. 350-001 is in grey and white livery and carries its original number ES4990001. The loco is seen south of the station on the 18th of July 2017. Moving east once again and to our final location in this section at Szolnok. This is a long since abandoned halt serving the local village, but offers a good photographic vantage point on the sweeping curves. The station buildings can be seen here. 383101 is the first of the leased Vactrons in use by the Slovakian passenger sector. Here it approaches the camera with the 1143 Bratislava to Košice. In the opposite direction is CD Cargo's 363036, unpressurised tanks bound for Česká Třebová. As you can see, there are no fences keeping people off the tracks here. The only ones around are to keep the local dog population in check. (361-121) returns west at the head of the 1358 from Liptovský Mikuláš to Žilina. A better view of the old station waiting area here as 383107 heads a train for Bratislava. Part 3 of our programme covers the section of line between Ružomberok and Liptovský Mikuláš. The section of line to the south of the lake is very close to the motorway and offers few, if any, decent vantage points. We begin at Ružomberok station, with the map once again showing our filming locations. The date is the 1st of July 2018, and 163109 arrives with the 1333 from Žilina to Poprad-Tatry. The loco is part of a second batch of 60 built by Škoda between 1991 and 1992. Some never entered service with the Czech or Slovak railways and instead were sold to Italian operator FNM for services in the north of the country around Milano. These were subsequently sold to private operator Regiojet and repainted in their distinctive yellow livery. Class 810 railcar number 810636 has recently been sold by ZSSK to a preservation group, and it is seen here working a special Sunday tourist train set to depart along the branch which runs for a few kilometres to the south. Heading east, the next filming location is at Liptovská Tiepole. close to the Vodna Narch reservoir. Heading west is 350-006, with one of the hourly intercity services for Bratislava. The Class 131s, so common on this line, date from between 1980 and 1982, when 100 single-ended locomotives were constructed by Škoda to form 50 back-to-back pairs. Rated at 3,000 horsepower per locomotive, they provide enough power to operate 1,600-ton trains unassisted over the 1.5% ruling grades between here and Poprad. This is 131-007 and 8 on a set of empties. In the opposite direction, Pendolino set number 680-005 returns to Prague with the 1459 from Košice. There's evidence on the right of the picture of logs being loaded onto wagons on the nearest track. We chose two locations just to the east of Liptovský Mikuláš, as seen here on our map. The first shows 361003 heading east with a semi-fast service bound for Košice. The 350-018 arrives with the 1406 from Umene to Bratislava. The class date from between 1973 and 1975, with 18 of the original fleet of 20 still active. Numbers 9 and 10 have been written off due to accidents in 1989 and 1977 respectively. The town of Liptovský Mikuláš is located here in the lower Tatra Mountains at 577 metres above sea level. It was first mentioned in 1286 and was known as Liptovský St. Nicholas before the communist era, with the town being once part of the Kingdom of Hungary. Today it is renowned for its guilds and culture. The train is slowed whilst it awaits the departure of an eastbound service, allowing passengers safe access across the tracks to the platforms. And here is the train that it was waiting for, headed by 383-102. Finally, sister locomotive number 104 rounds the bend with the 1607 from Košice to Bratislava. In part 4 of this programme, we head east to 2 locations at the stations at Liptovský Hrádok and Králové Lhota. The map shows our filming locations. At Liptovský Hrádok, we chose the car park area just east of the platforms, and we were greeted by Class 742 diesel number 742-310 shunting wagons from the nearby timber factory. The Class 742s date from between 1977 and 1986 and are fitted with a 1185 horsepower engine. They weigh in at 64 tonnes and are used throughout the country on shunting and light trip workings. A total of 453 were built, with an additional 41 for private industry. We now move east to the station at Kralova Lehota, where we position ourselves on the south side of the tracks next to the station. As already mentioned, most of the Class 363 fleet is operated by ZSSK Cargo, including this pair, numbers 089 and 090. Some of the class have been modified to work as semi-permanent pairs, which includes new multiple working controls, new electronics and upgraded cab and braking. The train here is number 65111, the 1102 mixed freight from Žilina to Košice. (163-106) is next to appear on the 1248 stopping service from Poprad-Tatry to Žilina. These locos weigh 85 tonnes and have a continuous power rating of 4,665 horsepower. With electric multiple units almost non-existent on this line, it is an ideal location to view locomotive working such as this. As for how many more years this is set to continue is anyone's guess. Class 363s operated by the cargo sector can occasionally be seen on passenger work. Take this loco for example. Number 106 is seen working train 3423 from Žilina to Poprad-Tatry. In our next section we move across to the easternmost extremities of the line covered, and to Poprad. The map here shows the section of line covered between Poprad and Štrba. We will begin at two locations, the first at Poprad and the second slightly further west at Svit. At Poprad, our chosen location is on the eastern side of the station. Running around its train is locomotive number 162003, which will form the next stopping service back west bound for Žilina. The main Tatra Mountain range can be seen in the distance. An extensive narrow gauge line serving villages along the foothills of the mountains terminates here, with roughly a 30-minute service to and from Stary Smokovets. Stock used on the line are 15 of these 3-section articulated units of Class 425-95. These were built by Stadler between 2000 and 2002, with another unit built in 2006. 131069 and 070 arrive in the station with a westbound train of steel slab. On the rear is 183037, which is providing banking assistance. There are 25 peaks over 2,500 metres in the Tatra Mountains, with the highest at 2,655 metres or 8,711 feet above sea level. Average snow depths in winter are around 170 inches, and avalanches are frequent. In addition, a wind speed of 179 miles per hour was recorded on the range on the 6th of May 1968. Typical average wind speed on the peaks are around 6 metres per second. 746003 and 004 are seen here engaged in shunting duties on the northern side of the station. The Class 746 is a heavy rebuild of Class 742, which have been completely restyled and fitted with a Caterpillar engine and Siemens alternators. .35019 has charge of the 0732 from Košice to Bratislava. Sister locomotive 350020 is working train number 767, the 0510 Trenčín to Košice. The date here is the 17th of July 2017. We now move around 6 kilometres to the west and to the station at Svit, where we filmed from 2 locations just west of the platforms. We catch up with 131069 and 070 once again, as they are looped to let westbound passenger trains overtake. viewed from our second position, number 350017 races east. Single line working was in place to the west of the station to allow a piece of rail to be replaced. Swapping tracks is 193-06, heading a delayed 0745 Košice to Prague regiojet service. Note the pantographs being dropped. A few pieces of on-track plant were applying their way between the signal box area and the work site. Although most of the snow on the mountains melts in the summer, there are small pockets that remain all year. The Tatras are similar in structure and are indeed part of the wider Alps range, which dominate further west. As previously mentioned, the Class 131s can handle train weights of up to 1,600 tonnes on the most steeply graded parts of the line. However, anything heavier and they need banking assistance. This is usually provided by a dedicated fleet of Class 183 locos up to the summit at Štrba. Here, 131, 069 and 070 finally get a clear road for their 2,600 tonne train of steel slab. The steel is placed inside these open box wagons. We now move slightly west and to 3 locations on the line up to the summit at Štrba. The first comes from the village station at Lučivna, just 3 kilometers west of our previous location. The date is the 17th of July 2017, and 131, 079 and 080 are also subjected to speed restrictions due to wrong line working because of the rail replacement work to the west of Švit. The banking locomotive on the rear is 183001. The 183s are allowed to work trains of 1180 tons unassisted over these banks, but their use other than on banking duties is fairly limited these days, but they occasionally work mixed wagon freight to Žilina. On the 18th of May 2012 we see 183, 043 and 006 returning downhill after banking westbound trains. On the same date, 183001 is seen again, with 183020 providing assistance at the rear. Moving west again, we are at Štrba Zastavka, As 131, 069 and 070 head west once again, with 183 006 on the rear. The train is once again carrying steel slab from the steel works at Haniska to the finishing plants around Ostrava, just across the border in the Czech Republic. When this was filmed, number 183 006 was not long out of works. Back to the 7th of July 2017 now, and 183037 and 043 head east, light engine. There are just 21 members of the class still active, all allocated to the cargo sector, and all are painted in the attractive two-tone green and grey livery. The class were the last 6-axle locos delivered to CSD back in 1971, and are a development of the Class 181 and Class 182, none of which are still in traffic with either the Czech or Slovakian cargo sectors, but some are still operated by private companies. Looking in the opposite direction, we see the bridge that takes the main D1 motorway across the valley. This piece of on-track plant has managed to get a path east and heads off towards Svit. Class 131s also work as banking locos, helping out other members of the class. Here this trainload of Polish coal heading for the steelworks at Haniska is powered at the front by 131 087 and 088, with 021 and 022 on the rear. The whitewashed coal gives a clear indication if there is any of the load missing. Our final location in this section comes from the popular photographic spot situated around a half-kilometre south of Štrba station. Heading west with this iron ore train is 131031 and 032, with 095 and 096 banking at the rear. The train is number 49704, the 0615 from Tierna nad Tisou to Ostrava. (681.004) is the next train to be seen, forming the 0710 from Prague to Košice. You can just make out two ski slopes on the mountainside in the distance, as 131095 and 096 head down the grade after their banking duties and are passed by 131029 and 030 with 183043 at the rear. Ten minutes later, and number 043 heads back down the hill, ready for its next turn of duty. Around 30 freights per day need banking along this stretch of line, so the locos are always active. Our final section in this programme looks at the line to the west of Štrba and on towards Važec, a distance of around 5 kilometres. We begin with two locations around the station at Štrba, which also offers a connection with the meter gauge rack railway up to the ski resort at Štrbské pleso. Entering the station on the 7th of July 2017, we see 361127, hauling the 1007 from Košice to Bratislava. Most passenger trains stop here as it is an important station. An electricity substation here supplies power to the overhead. Dropping down the grade on the narrow gauge line is 405951, one of 3 units that are used, and which date back to 1969. They were built in Switzerland by SLM in Winterthur. On the 18th of May 2012, 131054 and 055 head an empty string of box wagons bound for the transshipment yard at Tajerna nad Tisou, not far from the border with the Ukraine. "163106 was still in green and yellow stripe livery when it was filmed here with a local train for Žilina. It has subsequently been repainted in the ZSSK red livery. MVTV 0220 is a former Class 892 departmental railcar built in 1983. It has an inspection platform for use on the overhead. It is currently based at Poprad-Tatry. "131057 and 058 were the next to appear, with another long rake of open box wagons. 183004 brings up the rear and was used as assisting loco on the climb up to the summit here from the westerly direction. On the 17th of July 2017, 131, 031 and 032 had a trainload of GLS parcels containers, the train being 48760, the 0707 from Vrutky. This is the western end of the station with the platforms slightly out of view. This party of school children head alongside the tracks. Another of the 3 Class 405 narrow gauge units drops down on the approach to the station. This is 363143, slowing with the 0803 service from Bratislava. With around 2 freight trains and 2 passenger trains each way per hour, there's always something to see along this route, and one which is increasingly popular with European photographers and observers alike. We now move west and to 2 locations close to the town of Važec, situated on the long climb from Kralova Lhota to Štrba. Slightly closer to the line and we see 163124 on a local. Next it is the turn of 131015 and 016 at the head of this mixed freight bound for the steelworks at Haniska to the south of Košice. On the 7th of July 2017, the lack of snow on the mountain tops is all too evident, as 131005 and 6 head west with train PN 61510, the 0854 from Košice to Žilina. One 93227 is next to be seen, with the 0748 regiojet service from Prague to Košice. The train then passes 362005 heading in the opposite direction. One 162-003 is the final locomotive to appear in our look at the main line close to the Tatra Mountains, as it heads a local from Poprad to Žilina. We hope you've enjoyed the variety of locomotive and train types to be seen passing our series of vantage points. If you do get the chance, we highly recommend paying a visit to the area. We thank you for watching.